So mat 2 coverage, Colton Camacho from Pitt, and then Spencer Moore, UNC. We are underway on what will be a long but glorious day as we'll crown a team champion. NC State, you'll hear me say it several times, working on 6 in a row. Your undefeated regular season champs. But we begin on 125 mat 2 with number 3 Spencer Moore, number 6 Colton Camacho. And Nick, I'll just set the table by saying there's 28 AQs. There's 2 at 125. Brandon Neff, the longtime associate commissioner for the ACC, saying that he's hoping for 6 at large and trying to get 34 wrestlers into the NCAAs.
So when you think about that for this match, whoever loses this, they got to wrestle all the way back, and then they're just hoping for an at-large. They have to win here to try and keep going to get a second-place match, and also whoever wins this one, they're taking on Flynn from Virginia Tech, which is a tough one. So it's going to be hard. Whoever loses this one is already a step behind, so you got to wrestle hard to open this ACCs. Moore's got in an underhook, really hard on the head of Camacho.
Spencer Moore wrestling on his home arena mat here at Carmichael Arena. Always special as being the host team of the ACC Wrestling Championships, Nick.
Yeah, in such a historic place like Carmichael, and their head coach, Rob Cole, was a national champion here in 1988. He's now back at his alma mater, trying to bring that history back. He did have a national champion last year at 157, and now Sonny Santiago's the 1 seed in that weight class. So UNC always been a good program. Pitt doing very well as well. Double underhooks for Camacho. Moore's trying to get released. Now Camacho switches it, trying to get behind to that leg. Like I said, both these wrestlers very smart, very good at defending against shots. That's why you saw a very low scoring match the first time they saw each other, 1-0.
And obviously one of the reasons why you picked this as one of the 3 key matchups to watch here early doors as part of our all-day coverage of the 2024 ACC Wrestling Championships right here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Get a stall warning there. We'll go back to neutral in the middle. And this is a lot of times what you see in those first periods. Just a feeling out process. These guys know each other. They've wrestled earlier this year, seen each other multiple times at 125. So some familiarity there, but trying to get to their open shots as Camacho gets behind. And there's the scramble we're going into. See a lot of that today, especially at the 125 weight classes. Great job by Moore to get behind, and they call it. Potential stall warning there at the end of that period.
Moore on the season, 13-4, 11-2 in duels. He does have 4 tech falls and 1 fall. You mentioned Colton Camacho against Spencer Moore, losing back on February 9th just by that slimmest of margin, 1-0. And no surprise, Nick, after 1 period that we're still at zeros.
Well, you think Colton Camacho coming in as a 6 seed, Spencer Moore kind of draws the short end of the stick with that seeding, because Camacho's really not a 6 seed wrestler. He's very good. He had a little bit of a down year this year. He got 3rd at ACCs a year ago. Just barely missed an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament as Moore gets up to get the escape and take a 1-point lead.
So we have a point here on mat 2, just underway of our coverage of the 2024 ACC Wrestling Championships. Colton Camacho this year 9-11. His college record though 56-36.
Not too much chatter from the coaches right now either. Kind of letting these guys go at it, letting them wrestle. Minute left in the second. Like I said, it was 1-0 in that first one, so you could see Moore try and be a little conservative. He attacks with a shot there. Definitely don't want him to bank on the fact that he's up 1-0, as Camacho definitely has the ability to take him down.
Reminding you that Jacob Camacho out of NC State is the #1 seed, and he has been a force, 2-time ACC champion over on mat 1.
Yeah, no relation. 2 Camachos in the same conference in the same weight class.
The #2 seed is Cooper Flynn, who will face the winner of this matchup.
Advantage time is displayed on the bottom of the 2 blocks.
Big difference in the college wrestling game as opposed to high school. The hand fighting, so much more intense, so much harder. It's a big thing you learn as a true freshman.
Meanwhile, on mat 2, Moore and Camacho stay neutral. The rating, minute 39 of the second period.
So we got the dual box here, as you see mat 1, Egan from Duke. Down just 2 is Kyle Monteperto from Virginia.
Egan's doing really well right now. He got tech fauled by Monteperto earlier this year when they met in the conference duels. Keeping it close right now, but riding time very much in favor of Monteperto. That's a point if it's over a minute at the end of the match.
Here on mat 2, a little spin. Decent opportunity now for Colton Camacho.
He evens that up on mat 2 now with the escape, so all even in the third. This is where it gets fun.
Good defense coming from UNC's Spencer Moore.
See both these guys starting to be a little more active, looking for their shots. It's all about working for your angles. Just trying to work the angle for the move you want.
It's Duke's Logan Egan. Monteperto, the Cavalier.
1 minute left.
To start the third.
Go time for these. If it goes to overtime, that's sudden death. Like I said, a really tough first round match for both these guys. Very good wrestlers. Don't pay attention to the 3 and 6.
Down the stretch of the third period, knotted at 1 between Camacho and Moore.
Full day of wrestling already, a nice crowd. You see a ton of red for NC State and a lot of Virginia Tech. Those two over the years have had some battles. Prior to the 5 in a row for NC State was the Hokies that won for a couple years in a row, Nick.
They had back-to-back wins before NC State went on that run. 2 of the best wrestling fan bases in the ACC. When those two go at it, whether it's in Blacksburg or whether it's at NC State, it's always fun and the crowd's always loud. A low single there for Camacho.
So we've gone 2 here on mat 1, and Nick, you were telling me long before we even started that this one was going to be close.
So you look there at Rob Cole, national champion back in 1988, first year's head coach of UNC, and yeah, another close match. These are 2 very even wrestlers. Only 1 point separated their match earlier. Now they're tied. This is overtime, so first takedown, first point wins. When you're already getting some extra wrestling in the first round, you know how competitive this is in the ACCs.
Yeah, buckle up, folks.
Monteperto maintains a 5-3 lead.
Like I said, whoever loses this one has to wrestle all the way back, and they're hoping for an at-large bid. Both these guys really want to avoid having to go to that consolation bracket already.
Yeah, because there's no guarantees, even if you do wrestle back and take that 3rd place spot just with the 2 AQs.
Camacho just a year ago did that exact thing, didn't qualify. He didn't get an at-large bid. So it's not guaranteed you get top 3 that you're going with how the automatic qualifications worked out this year, just 28 for the ACC. More work into that underhook. These lightweight guys, not as much throwing as you may see up in those higher weight classes. Moore's gone to that throw by a couple times. Double underhooks there. He's got control of Camacho.
A lot of times you'll hear some extra noise with not a ton happening on our mat. That's mat 1 coverage. We'll be with you all day on mat 2, but as you've already witnessed with our superstar producer Paul Beam, we'll keep an eye on mat 1 as well.
Both these guys just really good. There's the throw by for Moore. Just has to get to that other angle. He can complete this. Camacho, a really good scrambler as well. Moore's got to get that foot out, and if he can, he's going to get the takedown. Camacho, great job to turn him.
Wow, unlucky based on time.
And here's this throw by. He's been working it the whole time. A little bit of a duck throw by. Gets Camacho while he's leaning. You'll see it a lot. They push, you push into your opponent, get him to put his weight and force back into you. You use that momentum, let him pass you, you're behind. Moore can't complete the takedown there. Camacho, really good defense.
All right, Nick, as we head to the second overtime, remind everybody that both wrestlers will start down for 30 seconds as we find the winner.
Yep, exactly that. You're going to see both wrestlers in the top position and the bottom position. That'll switch every 30 seconds, as you see on your clock right there. But a really tight one. I mean, we're in double overtime. This is the first match. It's great to see. ACC is always a lot of fun. Champions are made in March. Getting the clock figured out on the mat, it seems. Ready to go.
There's been a lot of special moments in Carmichael Arena. And tonight we'll be rocking for the ACC Championships on ACC Network, 7 o'clock.
Moore can get out. He can get a win. That's why it's so tough. You got to ride hard on top for full 30 seconds. Moore almost had it. He gets up.
So that'll help.
There's the point. It's going to bring us back to the middle with 3 seconds left in that double overtime period. Going to wait. And it's 30 and 30, so now the quick swap. We'll see if Camacho can get one back to even it up at 2. If Moore can ride this out, he'll be able to move on to that next round where he'd see Flynn from Virginia Tech.
Moore with 25 seconds to hang on. Good spin out, and all right, so we're tied again here, Nick.
Now we're wrestling.
I feel like Camacho's got a little bit of momentum.
Camacho also seems to be pretty high energy, doesn't seem too fatigued.
There it
Moore.
is.
Oh, trying to go for the big throw. Puts himself on his back, and you see the frustration he has right there. Just a late mistake. Going for the win. Here he drops his hips, trying to throw him over. Camacho just too strong. Stays down, and then you see just the frustration from Moore knowing he made a mistake. Gave that 3 points to Camacho. Gets the win 5-2 in overtime. He moves on to wrestle Flynn in the semifinals.
All right, so take a look at that finish. A couple overtimes in our very first match here on mat 2.
Now getting to 133, and yeah, even on mat 1 we had an overtime match to start. So as you look there, Jace Palmer, Vinny Santaniello, but Sam Latona and Raymond Adams next on this mat.
We're already underway on mat 2.
Number 3 seed from Virginia Tech, Sam Latona. Taking on number 6 seed from Duke,
Adams, one of Latona's 3 ACC wins this year.
At 133 pounds, first round match featuring
Adams went 0-3 in the dual season. And this Duke team, you talk to Coach Glenn Lanham, they focus all on individuals this season. You know, they have a lot of young wrestlers, a lot of guys wrestling as true freshmen, which is not something you see a lot if you're new to wrestling. It's very common to do that redshirt year, wrestle unattached, get used to the speed of college wrestling.
Almost been forced into it based on some injuries and some folks that they thought were going to come back decided not to come back. And you mentioned the freshman. Adams, a freshman for Duke.
Yeah, you go down that roster, it's a lot of true freshmen and true sophomores. So a lot of guys who, from their freshman year, were the #1 guy at their weight class and had to wrestle a lot of tough guys, which Coach Lanham says it preps them throughout their 4 years. But, you know, it's obviously a really tough schedule. These guys feel each other out in the first period. Latona, a 3-time national qualifier, lost to Kai Oren, who was that 1 seed you saw in the 133 bracket in the semis a year ago. Adams looking for more elbow control. Latona in on a single leg. Adams has the whizzer, loses it. Now Latona with more freedom. He's trying to get that whizzer back in. And he does. Adams is doing well to defend, but there it is. Trip the leg, complete the single. Latona gets the takedown for 3.
A junior from Alabama, Thompson High School with the lead.
Virginia Tech, you mentioned it, back-to-back ACC champs before NC State. Went on this great run, 5 straight. But Virginia Tech has produced so many great wrestlers in their time. Now that program, headed by Tony Roby, been there since 2006.
Yeah, Tony Roby, when he first took over Virginia Tech, was on an interim basis, and he won the ACC title at NC State, which is obviously twice the delight for Virginia Tech based on that rivalry you mentioned. When they're at the Castle, it's full, and when they're at Reynolds, it's full when those two teams get together.
Just such great fan bases. Their fan bases have really gotten behind them as a wrestling program. Something you see in Pennsylvania and up in Iowa a lot, but this sport growing so much in the Carolinas and the Southeast. Riding time up to a minute now as the first period ends. Won't matter until then. Here's another look at Latona. Doing really well to get to what he wants. He gets in on that single leg, gets to the high single, and it's very textbook from there. When you have that high single in your armpit, you either want to go after that other ankle or make them trip. He ends up tripping Adams and gets the 3 points.
He had a tech fall against Adams not that long ago, 18-5. At 133, the ACC will send 3 to the NCAAs. So it's not quite as much gloom and doom if you lose this opening match. And as you mentioned, at 125, both matches needing overtime to find a winner.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. And these guys, if they lose, like you said, not as gloomy. They can work their way back in. That 3rd place spot will get them to the NCAA tournament. If you're outside of that, you may just get unlucky, not get an at-large bid.
Latona comes in with a 16-5 record, including that tech fall win over Adams. The winner will face Virginia's Yarbrough.
Latona, obviously the higher seed, more expected to win this one if he takes on Yarbrough. That should be a great match. Yarbrough went 1-2 at ACCs, but he's taken a big step up since last year. Adams in a scramble. Latona's in on that leg, got full control. And he can complete this for 3 points, and he does right there.
So a comfortable lead for Latona. It is worth mentioning, talking about Duke, that they're not that far removed from having the 4 fine silvers and having Casper at heavyweight, where they were year sending 5 or 6 wrestlers to the NCAAs. This is the one year where Duke is going to need a surprise to make sure they get somebody qualified for the NCAAs, as Glenn Lanham is usually always there with at least one. Over the years, they've been really dominant at heavyweight.
And Connor Barkett, their heavyweight 285, is kind of the guy they're looking at to do that this year. I think that's their best shot, but you're right. They may need a surprise wrestler to come out and get an automatic qualifying bid. There are 4 in those higher weight classes, so definitely something that could get done there.
Keep an eye on the score lines as well, as Tech falls, and falls will help as far as points for that team title.
Latona has really dominated. You noticed he let it back up because he's confident in his ability to take down. They get into this scramble, and that's where Latona's just a little more experienced than Adams. Those scramble situations, he knows exactly what he needs to do, and you know, when he can release, when he's got to keep that grip. It's all about strong grip strength too, keeping around that knee of Adams. Just has to outlast him, then you can get behind, get the 3 points. It gives him the 10-1 lead. Plenty of riding time as well, and full control in the 3rd period. See if he can just work around. He's got the underhooks. Might be trying to see if he can get into a cradle.
So do want to let you know at 125, Egan was able to beat Monteperco.
That's a big win for Egan. Egan, a guy who's hasn't been super consistent this year, but Coach Lanham said he can really be great when he puts his mind to it. He's got to cut his weight right. He's just got to stay focused, and he can be really good.
Yeah, Coach Lanham basically says he's either on fire or he's ice cold, one or the other.
Yeah, Coach Lanham does not mince words talking about his wrestlers. He'll let them know when they're not wrestling up to their potential. Latona not too far from the Tech fall here. Got to be up by 15 to do that. So he just needs to get behind there. Another good takedown. Latona up 16-2 now. Gets one more point. That'll end the match early.
Oh, he's got that riding time. Might have some blood.
Looks like it will be a blood time for Adams. Nosebleed there. But like you said, riding time already fully in favor and not a factor. It's already the full point is secured, so allowing Adams to see if he'll get within the 15 as you look here at mat 1, Santaniello and Palmer for UNC. Palmer wrestling on his home turf.
Latona, one of 5 All-Americans for Virginia Tech, along with Makai Lewis and Bryce Andronian, Eddie Ventresca, and Caleb Henson. Tech also returns a total of 11 NCAA qualifiers.
Adams trying to get a pump roll, see if he can throw off Latona, but Latona's wrestled so many good guys. There's nothing he's not ready for, but, you know, that's going to end that second match we've had here on mat 2. And a Tech fall win by 15 for Latona moves him on to that next round where he'll take on Yarborough from UVA.
So remember, 3 qualify at 133. As we get you set at the 141, we'll take a look at the bracket. Over on mat 1, it'll be Virginia and UNC. We'll have Virginia Tech and Duke. It'll be Tom Crook for Virginia Tech, and it'll be Christian Coleman for Duke at 141. At 141, they will have 3 NCAA qualifiers. You see Cole Matthews, your #1 seed, Ryan Jack, your #2 seed.
I know nothing in 141 was in my matches to watch, but this is one of my favorite weight classes to watch today. Cole Matthews is very good. Him and Lachlan McNeil had a great match earlier this year, but I truly think it's a toss-up for 141 because McNeil's a 4 seed. Him and Cole Matthews have had some really close clashes in the past couple of years. Crook is very good in his first year in 2023. Beat Cedino in the first round of ACCs, lost to McNeil, and got 4th place. So looking to make that step up. He's 5-3 on duels this year, 16 wins overall.
First round of the ACC Wrestling Championship.
Going against Coleman.
The number 3 seed from Virginia.
Another guy who's had a tough year for Duke, trying to do everything he can. 1-11 on the year. Crook right now doing a good job as Coleman gets in on the Russian. Trying to use that to get in on the shot. Well defended by Crook. Crook immediately going in to the low single. Coleman and him in the scramble. And this is where, once again, just the experience level is going to benefit Crook, because Crook just has to get his foot out, and the second he does, that's a takedown, and now 3 points.
3 points for Virginia Tech takedown for Tom Crook. To the sophomore here in Blacksburg.
Crook beating Coleman this season with a Tech fall 16-1. He beat him last year, Nick, 11-2. He's got the 3-0 lead. Nick, I like the extra point they added on the takedown, increased the offense for Wrestling Nationwide. Do you have a take on that?
Here's what I always say about it. It's not as fun to yell 3 as it was to say 2 the way you would throughout a gym. But the one thing I will say is it awards being aggressive. It awards offense, which creates more exciting matches to watch. So I think it's great from that aspect, and I think it's a good thing for the sport in general. We talked about it before, the differences between folk style, freestyle, and Greco. Freestyle, more awards aggressiveness. Folk style, which is college wrestling, as Crook gets 3 points again to take a 5-point lead. Folk style, more about control. So this adds in more shots, more excitement. So I think it's a good rule overall.
Good take. Team Link along with Nick Kloss, bringing you Mat 2 coverage all day long as part of our wall-to-wall coverage of the 2024 ACC Wrestling Championships at historic Carmichael Arena in Chapel Hill.
Crook in the first period already with that riding time. He's going for the roll, trying to get back points. He should get some here. The back shown. Feel like they should be counting. The Virginia Tech coaches agree as well. And it looks like no back points will be awarded there. Going into the second period now.
His opponent, Jack Geoffrey, redshirt freshman for the Cavaliers out of Clovis, California. Geoffrey 13-5 for Virginia this year, 2-1 in ACC.
McNeil leading Geoffrey. McNeil from North Carolina leading Geoffrey 3-0 over on Mat 1.
And Lachlan McNeil's a guy to watch, who he might be a 4 seed. He hasn't wrestled, he did not wrestle every ACC match. He was gone doing things for Team Canada, trying to make that Olympic team. But talking to Coach Tony Ramos, he wasn't worried about him. He knows McNeil can just come in and wrestle.
A 7-1 lead for Crook. Virginia Tech coming in with a 9-4 record, featuring 5 All-Americans. They've got 3 conference champions, 11 NCAA qualifiers, 1 NCAA championship, 3 world medalist team members as well. Virginia Tech 9-4, 4-1 in the ACC, non-conference 5-3 record.
Crook going in for the double leg. Gets it with some ease. potentially dangerous there. Official elects to reset, go back to the neutral position.
Crook, sophomore from Tampa. Take a look at the takedown here, Nick.
Just going for that low double leg. Coleman tries his best. He grabs that foot, and that's when I say scramble. When you grab that foot, you're in a scramble. But if you're going to just have one foot grabbing it, Crook is strong enough, and he's a good enough wrestler where he can break that, get the 3 points, and that's why you see the 11-1 lead here. Also, these Virginia Tech wrestlers, you'll see it with NC State, a lot of these best guys, their conditioning is just top-notch. They can wrestle a full 3 periods, and that can be a big difference.
That's so well said. Some of them, I saw NC State against Duke. I mean, they look like they could have gone 3 in a row and there'd been no sweat.
I mean, talk about Trent Hidley. We talked to him before the match, and he just talks about how, he says, I'm not winded in the 3rd period. I can keep going. And when you have that mentality and you just have that ability physically, it's such an advantage.
The big lead here for Virginia Tech on mat 2. 141, where they've got 3 AQs. It's 28 for the ACC.
Crook already to 2 minutes riding time. So it won't take long for him to secure that riding time point.
Head to the 3rd period with an 11-1 lead for Crook.
Stall warning there.
The PA announcer mentioned that McNeil's got a commanding lead over Geoffrey, so the Tar Heel on his home mat doing well on mat 1. He'll face the aforementioned Cole Matthews. And there's more points.
And now you'll see Crook is going to let him up. He's been able to take Coleman down almost at will throughout this match. So he'll try to keep it going. If he can get one final takedown, it'll be a tech fall. Don't even have to wrestle out the rest of the match. And there's Coleman going back to that Russian. Gets it to the single leg. Best move we've seen from Coleman in this match.
Indeed.
Using that Russian, gets his angle. I said wrestling's all about working angles. Get to the angle, get to the leg, gets him for the single. But there's that wizard from Crook. You see that arm? It's kind of like a pretzel in there with Coleman. That arm is keeping Coleman's right arm from getting to that other hip, which would be 3 points for the takedown. And you see there, Coleman able to have that body awareness and get behind, gets 3 points. That's the match at tech fall.
Dominant performance for the sophomore from Tampa, Florida, Tampa Jesuit. Virginia Tech, like NC State, one of those powers where it doesn't matter where you live. If you get a chance to come to those programs, you're going to take a look at it for sure. And Virginia Tech fans support the tech fall win by Tom Crook. As we're underway here on mat 2, 149, Papsy and Scott. Papsy's another one of those guys that if he can somehow get on a roll, you know, a little bit of luck involved as well. I mean, you just never know, but Jaden Scott at 17-11's had a solid year.
Yeah, you really don't know with Papsy. He's kind of, just like you said, like Agan, could come out and get a big win. Also, sometimes he's just a little cold. As far as Jaden Scott, he's someone who excites me a lot at 149. We haven't seen him too much in the dual season. He went 3-1, wrestled 4 out of the 5. That was actually more than I thought, but he was so fun to watch in those matches. The win against Finn Solomon, Michael Geoffrey, and he had a win in a tech fall against Papsy earlier this year. And there's 3 points. Great job there by Scott, keeping the feet in, both wrestlers have to be completely out of the circle to make it out of bounds to get that reset back to the middle.
So
McNeil, by the way, did win at 141. Will take on Matthews as we take it to look.
And that's just Scott being an aggressor, and I think you'll notice that continue throughout this match. Scott's going to be the one taking the shots. He's going to be the one controlling a little bit, more hand fighting. Just very much his style, very strong upper body. Thought Scott might sit down into a roll, create some back points, something we actually haven't seen any back points yet on that too. Up to 149 now, so waiting for that.
149 pounds. First round match between Michael Giaffrey of Virginia, the 5 seed, taking on Finn Sullivan of Pitt, the 4 seed.
So the winner of this Scott-Papsey matchup will face Jackson Arrington out of NC State. Mat 1, Giaffrey from Virginia, Solomon from Pitt will face Caleb Henson out of Virginia Tech. He's your #1 seed at 149, where they'll just have 2 NCAA qualifiers.
The redshirt freshman from Henrietta, New York, won his last 3 regular season bouts. To improve his record to 15
Scott got the arm bar in.
including a 3-1 record in conference duels.
And a tight waist as well. Stall warring on Papsey, because nothing's really happened there. Now Scott can get to the wrist, try and get wrist control. If he can pull that under it, now he can start working his way around, start moving those legs like a clock. Turn Papsey to his back. There we get a stall.
So I wanted to point out Ethan Ramos, the former Tar Heel, who is still competing, still making some noise, and I believe he's headed to Paris. Do I have that right?
He is. Became the first Tar Heel in program history. He's qualified for the Olympic Games. Going for Puerto Rico. Wrestle at 86 kilograms in freestyle. Was a great wrestler here at North Carolina. Now coaching with Glenn Lanham at Duke, the rival.
There he is. Had a little love. Congratulations to Mr. Ramos, representing Puerto Rico.
Yeah, he got wins, 4-0, 11-6 victories. He was over at the 2024 Pan Am Olympic Games, got on the podium, which punched his ticket to head to Paris. Huge achievement for him. Really excited to see him in the Olympics.
A high-scoring first period on mat #1. Here at 149 pounds, which currently sees Finn Sullivan of Pitt leading Virginia's Michael Giaffrey 7-5.
So another point there for Scott with a 4-0 lead over Papsey. Meanwhile, Solomon from Pitt leading Giaffrey from Virginia 7-5 over on mat 1.
Redshirt freshman from the Cavaliers, also from Columbus, California.
So Scott, last time these two faced off in a match, it was a tech fault for Scott. So Papsey doing a better job staying in this one, not allowing Scott to really get to the takedowns he wants every single time. Papsey not really initiating much. That's why we've seen a couple stall warnings. Papsey goes after Scott outside the circle, brings us back to the middle.
Finn Sullivan of Pitt in the down position for the Panthers to start the second period. As he leads Michael Giaffrey of
See the second, just 50 seconds remaining, and Scott with that 4-0 lead and riding time approaching 2 minutes.
As we get later and later in this one, with that 3-point takedown, something else to consider, because it's 4-0. The 3-point takedown a lot more valuable, because this can put Papsey right within 1, but huge riding time advantage right now for Scott. So if it ended like this, it'd be 5-0 after that point's awarded.
Yeah, Papsy's going to have to increase his urgency and go on attack a little bit more, I think, here, Nick.
Yeah, 15 seconds left in the second. See if they can get something going. If you can get a takedown before the third, great. Then it's a 1-point difference. I expect the third to be a lot more active between these two. Scott's been still pushing the pace, but well defended by Papsy. Another stall. Warning going against Papsy, awards a point to Scott, so 5-0 now.
Duke head coach Glenn Lanham owns a streak of 15 straight years, sending at least one wrestler to the NCAA championship dating back to 2009. And he's always an open book. He's such a kind man, very religious man as well. And definitely said a few extra prayers, hoping that he can get that surprise out of Duke to keep that streak alive.
Coach Lanham, such a great guy, someone who really helped this sport grow in the Carolinas. Like you said, he's very straight up when you talk about his team. He knows where the weaknesses are and what to focus on. And this year, the big focus was his individuals as Scott gets in on that single leg. Papsy defends with the whizzer. Scott's got that high single, just needs to trip to take him down.
A 5-1 lead, and it feels like Scott's in control. Papsy has started every match this year except against Virginia.
Scott gets the takedown for an extra 3 to make it 8-1. Here's another look at it. He gets the high single, trips. Papsy turns to try and defend, but then once Papsy doesn't have that arm in anymore, that's where the takedown. Scott has both hands on either side of the hips.
Scott. Scott lost in a Scott won actually in a tech fall 21-4 when he faced Papsy not that long ago, just February 23rd, not that long ago today.
Yeah, I was on the call for that one. Scott wrestled fantastic. Like I said, I expected him to be more of the aggressor. So strong in the upper body, great at getting to the takedowns he likes. You can just see right now in the third period, Papsy is a great athlete, but that's where that ability to go all 3 periods really comes out. You can just see Scott has a little bit more bounce in his step right now.
Yeah, 149, that tweener weight, and Scott has the right body for it because he's just a little bit longer. Allows him to play defense.
Papsy was going for a gator or a roll, just kind of a last-ditch effort to try and get a pin. Doesn't work out. Scott gets a huge win, a major decision to move on.
So congratulations to Jaden Scott as he will earn a matchup against Jackson Arrington, the #2 seed. Meanwhile, it's Solomon with a 5-0 lead. Let's take a look at the 57 bracket where they have
one seed at ACC's in 157. North Carolina just lost a national champion in Austin O'Connor at 157, who was that 1 seed, was that dominant presence. Well, guess who was wrestling with him? Sonny Santiago. And he comes in ready. He got that big win over Ed Scott. Going to be exciting to watch. But Antonian, he's a guy who can definitely compete for this 157 weight class. Guy I expected to be a top 2 seed. Like I said, Santiago was a surprise. Going up against Ferrero.
Antonian, a 2021 ACC champion.
On his back, Antonian with a great reversal. It looked like Ferreira was gonna get 3 points really quick, but gets turned on his back, and that's the beauty and the pain of wrestling, is it can change in a split second, and sometimes it's great for you, and other times one mistake can put you on your back.
Also underway on mat number 1.
So a 5-0 lead for Andonian.
Gets that reversal, and then also the 3 points for the takedown. Trying to take the arm bar, and they had to wait because dangerous situation there. Ferrero had his left arm pulled all the way over to the other side, and some of these guys have really flexible shoulders, but not that flexible. And having flexible shoulders is a huge advantage because it's really hard to pin a guy whose shoulder blades can almost touch.
5-0 lead, early doors in the first. Andonian for Virginia Tech.
You can tell Antonian is just someone who's so much more comfortable. You've seen a lot of these Virginia Tech wrestlers, they get up, then they let their guy up, they're going for takedowns. Antonian is much more of a ride wrestler. He feels comfortable in this position as he's trying to turn him. He's got a leg in. He's fully content working from the top position, trying to get a pin on Ferrero. She almost did already in this first period.
Riding time above 60 with a 5-0 lead.
And we still haven't seen back points today. Got 2 off of that. Quick, another dangerous situation there with Antonian having his legs. So this could be where we did see some back points. And just a turn, Antonian uses his weight to turn Ferrero, and right there almost gets the pin. Ferrero gets lucky. The official doesn't get over in time. May have had both shoulder blades down on the mat, but keeps this one going and keeps his chances alive. And now Antonian lets him up to get back to the neutral position.
So Ferrero on the board. It's 5-1. 157, where we have 2. The winner of this will take on Ed Scott out of NC State. More points for Andonian. Meanwhile, Nick Sanko at Virginia, the number 5 seed, with a pretty big lead over Jared Kessler. The winner of that will face Sonny Santiago out of North Carolina, as Nick Kloss already told the story about Santiago.
5, 4, 3, 2.
And I think in the second period, you may see a difference. I mentioned Antonian likes to ride on top, but look how easy he's getting to the takedowns he wants. Gets up, changes his levels, has him off balance. That's why Antonian does that. He's on top of the head, forces it down. Ferrero's got his head down, and by the time he looks up, Antonian's already there for the takedown.
Well, you just nailed it. He has the power to knock you off balance, and when you knock somebody off balance, you can then create some points.
And Dean, that goes back to what I was saying about college wrestling and hand fighting. It's so much tougher. You have to be able to keep your head up. You have to be able to stay with it, because when a guy's knocking you in the headgear, it's discombobulating and really quick. Another 3 points there for Antonian. So that's what I was going to say. I think he's just going to start letting him back up because he's getting the takedown he wants.
Yeah, you can tell the Hokies have come in with, let's take care of business early. Let's try to get some tech fall points. Let's keep our guys fresh and ready for the next round.
I'd imagine a lot of people are going to be excited to see it. It's going to be a lot of Virginia Tech versus NC State in the finals, but not a guarantee by any means.
Nick Sanko of Virginia at 11-2 lead at the end of 1 on mat number 1. That was Jared Kessler at head. Sanko, Cavalier, choosing down in the second.
2:28 of riding time, 2 for Antonian right now, so that secures a point. Obviously, it's not secured just yet, only in the second period, but he's really controlling the pace here.
Andonian has kind of got that unique combo in that he's got the power and strength, but then technically he's just so sound.
He is, and a lot of those Virginia Tech wrestlers are, and Andonian being the level he is, being a 4-time NCAA qualifier and ACC runner-up. He's been here before. He's been on an ACC mat before at ACCs, which is huge. Good job by Ferreira there. He kept the whizzer in, even though Andonian was really putting pressure on that shoulder.
11-2 Andonian. Riding time at 2.5, just about. This is better from Ferrero, but Andonian's so strong, you just can't turn him.
So strong and flexible. You see him just go perfectly into a split. Oh, you took my left leg, that's fine. I'm still fully on balance. So you hear some cheers coming from Mat 1.
Wow, I think Kessler may have, even though he was down 12-5, Kessler gets a pin over there on Mat 1. That's huge.
Sanko, the 5th seed, was leading big 12-5, but Kessler gets the pin, and that's why you're never out of it. And hey, let's look into that with this match right now. It's 11-2 here. Ferrero's down, but if he keeps initiating, he's got to get some takedowns. He would have to find Andonian on his back, but not out of the realm of possibilities. Andonian said it though, dude. So sound. He's really not going to put himself in situations that might end up with him on his back.
Yeah, he's got those long legs, but then he also has the long torso. Usually you get one or the other. He's got both.
Well, like you said, now getting into this weight class now at 157, the body types start to change. You can have guys who are more big and, you know, a little shorter, more compact, and then you have guys like Andonian who are longer, and that can help with your takedowns. You have a longer reach. With hand fighting, you can keep them at more of an arm's length.
Come up now.
Body type can definitely play into your advantages.
14-3. Riding time is well over 3 minutes for Andonian. And Nick, let me just say, it's one to have riding time. Andonian's riding time just seems like it takes a ton out of the body, if you know what I mean.
Well, being on bottom takes a ton out of you in general. Especially, you know, these Duke wrestlers. Coach Lanham always talks about, hey, take the little wins, get to your base, get to your elbows and your knees, then get up, then like keep working your way up, because being on bottom is so hard and so draining, and that's why Ferrero right now is just gassed, because Andonian has just been controlling it the whole way, and by that third period, you have nothing left to give. Headgear comes off for Ferrero. Needs to be fixed pretty quickly, and they're actually going to get a backup headgear coming over. They need it from one of his teammates, because it looks like the snap on the chin strap just popped off.
It'll be interesting to see if Andonian, with those 12 seconds, uses it to get those 3 points for that tech fall material.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, points do matter. There is a team competition going over. NC State trying to get 6 straight. So you are trying to earn as much as you can. And Andonian and Virginia Tech, kind of the main team to watch to try and upset NC State and bring the championship back to Blacksburg. So definitely important for the Hokies.
New headgear out. Final seconds remaining here, and okay.
There it is. Andonian finishes off for the tech fall decision, 20-5.
How about that? Taking advantage of those final seconds. I asked you, you gave a great answer, and he delivered it. So he'll take on Ed Scott in the semifinals. We're half.
ACC's lost in double OT to Lewis, which is extremely impressive. And then Augustine, third at ACC's in the 2023 NCAA qualifier. So two extremely good wrestlers, potentially the best match we've seen today. After that, Spencer Moore, Camacho opening in double overtime.
Faison won 10-6 on January 26th over Augustine. The winner will face Mackay Lewis.
So Faison could have a rematch, this time not in the finals, but in the semis, which that's the luck of the draw in the bracket. That's why you want a good seed coming out of ACCs.
174 is so strong in the ACCs with 4 automatic qualifiers at 174.
And this is, we're really starting to get into the strength of the ACC. These higher weight classes are where ACC has 4 automatic qualifiers. Like you said, at 125, that's 2, kind of 2 and 3 scattered, but these higher weight classes are very strong.
Faison, one of the team captains for Pat Papadalizio. What a job he's done as the top man at NC State.
How much he's grown the sport too, the fan base he's made. He talks all about the tailgating they do before games or before matches there. I mean, he's the 2018 Dan Gable. He was co-NCAA Coach of the Year. 5 ACC titles in a row, 6 total. 3 national champs in the last 10 years. He's built this program up so much.
Yeah, if NC State wins the team title today, that'll be 21, and Pat Papadalizio will have 7. So we have 33% of the ACC titles. The former Oklahoma State star, like Glenn Lanham, and like the former coach at North Carolina, coming from Oklahoma State. And I get the feeling, though, like, even if the Oklahoma State job opened up, I may be wrong on this, but Pops really likes NC State, and he kind of laughs about the fact when he goes out now, there's such a big following for wrestling at NC State. People know who he is.
Yeah, like I said, he's really built that program up. I mean, he's made it somewhere to be in wrestling. Oklahoma State, obviously some place that has been huge in wrestling, has produced so many great NCAA champions and Olympians. But now he's brought it to the East Coast and made a great Southern school in the ACC, and they've just been dominant over the last 10 years.
Kind of an abbreviated shot that time from Augustine. Again, the winner will face Mackay Lewis, former national champion. Over on mat 1, 165, Hamilton from Virginia with a 9-point lead over Estrada from North Carolina. As double screen here.
Yeah, Hamilton really in control right now of that one. Isaiah Estrada trying to make something happen. Didn't compete last year. Was unattached.
Worth noting at 165, Duke moved Conso up from 165 to 174, so only 5 wrestlers at 165 as part of the 2024 edition of the ACC Wrestling Championships. Still no score here, Nick.
Yeah, Faison and Augustine doing really well, matching each other up, not allowing anyone either side to get to what they're going for. Riding time's just at 23 seconds and 0-0. So there really isn't a way this one's leaning right now. Caution there for Faison. Winning just a hair early.
See a pretty big lead there at 165 for Hamilton over Estrada. We are in the 3rd period, by the way, at 165.
Red 1, red 2, red 3, red 4.
Time for Estrada on mat 1 to kicking into gear, under 45 seconds now. Start attacking with a bat out of hell. Hamilton, good job there to use that force against him.
Augustine down, comes in with a 13-4 season record, 40-20 overall. Did win his last two coming in, knocking off Michael Wilson from Rider and Justin McCoy from Virginia.
Good job there by Augustine. Faison had him with that tight waist, just had to drop him to the ground, but every time Augustine was able to keep his balance, know where he was in the air, stay standing. That was a really vulnerable opportunity for Augustine. Could have easily ended up with 3 points for Faison.
Still no score with 1 minute remaining here in the second here. 174, the 4 seed Faison, NC State, 5th seed Augustine, Pitt. Here we go.
Great job by Augustine. He sat out of it, had to break that grip of Faison off the waist. Does it, uses the head for leverage, quick turn, back even to the neutral position.
So it's Augustine with a 1-0 lead. These two met back on January 25th, and it was a tight one as Augustine fell just by 2. There's another reason why you put this one as one to watch.
Yeah, they had a close match earlier this year. Both of these guys with a couple losses in ACC play. Kai Lewis, the only wrestler without a loss in that 174 weight class.
There's a former NCAA champion, the top man at Pitt.
Yeah, Keith Gavin returned to his alma mater back in 2017. It's the last national champ that Pitt had. Then he got Nino last year to break that 15-year drought. National title winners.
They love him at Pitt, Coach Gavin. Great wrestler, even a better person.
Through.
Yeah, you nailed it, Nick.
Came back to his alma mater for a reason. He wanted to bring them back to what they were doing the days he was there, and he's done a really good job to make them a really good program, nationally ranked.
Well, and it makes sense to have those kind of aspirations when you consider the level of wrestling in the state of Pennsylvania.
Well, the recruiting he can do in the state of Pennsylvania. If you're new to wrestling, Pennsylvania might be the hardest state to win a state championship in. Obviously, there's others involved in that as well, New Jersey, California. But if you've won a state title, you're a state runner-up, you're state top 3 in the state of Pennsylvania, odds are you're probably wrestling D1 somewhere right now.
That's pretty legit. Nearby Ohio has also sent quite a few quality wrestlers. But I like what you said earlier. A lot of those wrestlers are now looking beyond just the Big Ten and the Big 12. They're looking at the ACC.
It's become a lot more diversified in terms of conferences. Like you said, it's not the Pac-12, it's not the Big 12 as much. The Big Ten will always kind of have that overarching control over the sport, but ACC now with NC State and Virginia Tech is a great option. And one thing I love about wrestling is how you can go anywhere, and if you're good enough, you can win a national title. It's all you. It doesn't need to be the program, but obviously it helps.
Nick Klaas is 2 for 2 out of 3 as far as matches to watch, as we've got another one perhaps headed to overtime. Well done, Nick, as we're tied here at 1s, and I think that's where we're headed with 3 seconds remaining.
Hey, they're making me look good right now. 1-1 going into overtime. They've been just very even. 2 very good wrestlers, very good at defending each other. And you look at 1-1 and you think, has anyone been doing anything? And they're they're trying, but everything's been well defended. They're good at keeping their distance while also trying to initiate. You haven't seen too many stall warnings. So it's not anyone just trying to stay in it.
Remind everybody, Nick, the story here in overtime. What happens if you score first?
Scoring first, you get the win. There's a takedown here. It's sudden victory. If we get to double overtime, then it turns into the 30 seconds of one. Augustine or Faison would go down first, be on bottom, and then they would switch. Both have an opportunity there. Here in this 2-minute period, whoever gets the win, whoever gets a takedown or a point gets the win.
It's a pretty good example of what happens in these situations. You want to take a shot, you want to be the aggressor, you just don't want to make a mistake.
If you've been with us since 125, you saw that exact thing with Spencer Moore. You don't want to be too aggressive because you don't want to make a mistake that puts you on your back and loses the match. And Spencer Moore had a mistake that put him on his back, and it wasn't double overtime. And that's what they don't want to do here. They want to be aggressive, go for their shots, you know, work towards the angle they want, but also not slip and allow the other wrestler to capitalize.
Faison trying to keep the head down of Augustine. Faison from Whispering Pines, North Carolina.
And that's a great shot from Augustine and great defense from Faison. He just uses the heavy hips, gets down quick, but keeps moving away. Right back to neutral, 15 seconds left.
So to further salute my main man, Nick Klaas, not only did 2 of the 3 matches he picked go to overtime, they went to double overtime, and here we go.
Yeah, when I picked these, I don't think I expected this. I knew they'd be close, but these guys really evenly matched. Like I said, they're both NCAA qualifiers, both very good wrestlers. And whoever loses this one has to wrestle all the way back. Luckily, 4 automatic qualifiers for this weight class, so it is a better chance than those 2 AQ weight classes, but still, that's a tough thing to have to do. Especially coming off a loss. That wrestling is so mental. Here's that 30-second I talked about. Faison's bottom first.
One thing you want to try to do is, oh,
huge move.
Throw. The Wolfpack fans love it. Decent response to try to get away, but then Faison hangs on to that left leg.
A huge 2-point reversal there by Faison. Puts him up 3-2. They'll go back to the middle. And they'll switch this time for this 30-second period. And it's just a great job there. Faison knows exactly where he is. Augustine gets a little lost. Just the turn. Faces him upright. Puts him right back down. And it says 3-2 right there, but it looks like we are getting some score correction. It's 4-1 Faison over Augustine right now. And that makes sense. I was confused why Augustine got a second point. There was no escape that he got. Faison had that reversal.
Well, and it's going to force Augustine to start up to try to get that 3-point takedown. The issue is 30 seconds is not a ton of time. And Faison so strong. Pretty good, pretty elusive defensively, so he's going to force Augustine to the point where Augustine may even run into giving up some points. At this point, it doesn't matter. They're in the second overtime. He's got to go for it here.
Yeah, it's all or nothing right now. I mean, there's no point to try and wrestle safe in any way. You want to move on to the semifinals. Right now, it's go time. And Faison's in the driver's seat. You see there, Augustine, quick shot. Change of levels, up, down, trying to do anything to shake Faison. Hard hand fighting.
Augustine knows there's 13 seconds left. He's got to go, and he's got to go now. 10 seconds left. Faison, he got a warning, Faison did. but he's got a 3-point lead. So yeah, did they give the point? Yeah.
And coaches will tell you, who cares that you have a warning right now? I mean, I've heard Coach Cole say it for UNC. It's like sometimes you just got to take it because you're trying to win this match, and you got to do what you can. And there it is, Faison getting the win.
And Faison pumping up the crowd. He's got a date in the next round with Mekhi Lewis, a former national champion.
Yeah, if you're within 2 hours of NC State, and in this example, you're within 30 minutes, there's going to be a huge crowd of Wolfpack fans for wrestling.
All right, let's take a look at the
weight class here in the ACC, and this is the third and final match to watch. First two went pretty well. Let's see how this one goes, but I really liked this match because Weatherspoon, a guy that's been up in the higher weight classes. He was up at a heavyweight before, and then Gavin Kane is a ranked guy that missed some time this year. 25 wins last year, was runner-up in 184 at ACCs. He's a guy that could potentially take it, especially with Stewart being kind of an unknown guy in that 1 seed. He's had a great year, but kind of came out of nowhere.
So Nick Klaus trying to go 3 for 3 in the 3 matches he picked to watch. Nick, I think after being a perfect 2 for 2 and seeing the double overtime, I would have waited to see what the score is to remind everybody that this was your third pick.
Hey,
you're feeling it.
I'm focused on it now. Didn't even notice it. Now I want the streak.
Of course you do. That's awesome. So it's Kane, your 4 seed, Gavin Kane. 5th seed, Ethan Witherspoon. The winner of this gets a date with Virginia Tech's TJ Stewart. 4 NCAA qualifiers at 184.
Yeah, Kane's a guy who kind of expects to make NCAAs this year. He did it last year, was an 11 seed in the tournament. Been a runner-up at ACCs the past 2 years, 16-6 back in 2022. Been a really fun wrestler to watch this year when he's been fully healthy and in that lineup. Only wrestled 3 ACC matches this year. He got a win over TJ Stewart in that one. That's Weatherspoon getting things started with that takedown, making it 3-0. Lets him right back up for that escape point.
There's 3-1, Ethan Weatherspoon, graduate student.
Weatherspoon 4-3 in the regular season for the Cavaliers, 0-1 in the ACC. While Kane was 17-7.
Weatherspoon has wrestled quite a bit at 197, so clearly dropped some weight to get down to 184.
He spent a lot of his career heavier as he's gone on in his 5-6 years at UVA, cutting down now at 184, the lowest weight class he's ever been at. But you think about the advantage you could have. Just look at the size difference between Kane and Weatherspoon right now. Weatherspoon definitely a bigger guy, but they're both wrestling at 184. Weatherspoon working for that Russian.
Kane 17-8, 9-3, 1 tech fall and 2 falls on the season.
So after that first period, Weatherspoon's the one who gets the takedown. Just a little knee pick. Gets to the Russian, keeps him on the angle with Kane's head on the side of his head. That gets him close to that right leg of Kane. He can pick the knee, gets the takedown, up 3-1.
Second period underway, 184. Just getting started at 11 a.m. We will go all day, including tonight, 7 o'clock, ACC Network. A team title and 10 ACC championships. Brandon Neff from the ACC. They'll have the smoke show, the light show. It'll be exciting.
So Kane makes it 3-2 with that escape, but also only allows Weatherspoon to get 38 seconds of riding time, so keeps that from being a factor at least early. Kane's got to really get to some of his moves. Right now, Weatherspoon's really winning the hand fight battle. He's getting to the Russian. He seems to really favor that move. But Kane, a very calm wrestler. You can tell he's very poised. Never gets too flustered. Has confidence. Great job getting in on the leg. Now gets the high. Weatherspoon doesn't have the whizzer in too deep. If Kane wants to get the takedown, he's got to go. He's trying to use his weight to pull down that knee. That's another way you can complete a high single. Going for the trip is a big way to do it, and there's the takedown for Kane.
Kane now with a 2-point lead. 5-3 with 30 seconds remaining in the second. And now it's 5-4. Nick Klaas might be 3 for 3 as he sets up today. Well job, my man.
Yeah, back and forth these two go. There's two very good wrestlers this high. There's a reason this weight class gets 4 automatic qualifiers. There's a lot of good wrestlers at it, and in the ACC, there's 4 guys that are really, really good, and Weatherspoon could be one. He's that 5 seed. And here's a look at how Kane got his first takedown. He got to the leg. He did a really good job on that single shot. And then just uses the trip. Before that, he tried to pull the knee and use that momentum to swing them, which is something you'll be taught on trying to complete a single, but instead there, he goes for that trip, the other leg, and now tied up at 5-5 here in the 3rd period. Could have another fun end on back-to-back matches.
5-5. My man.
Weatherspoon in on the underhooks. And like I said, the size difference. Weatherspoon's a little bit bigger. He's a guy who I can see throwing Kane, but Kane really smart. He's not going to let him keep that positioning very long.
Fishback and Becker start the 3rd at neutral.
Yeah. Our producer, Paul Beam, joining the parade, saluting Nick Klaas for 3 for 3 on the 3 matches to watch right here. They've all been tight. 2 in overtime. We got a little scramble here with plenty of time left, and there we got some points.
Yeah, Kane had enough there to get the 3 points, so now he's up 8-5. Under a minute left, and now he's taking away riding time from Weatherspoon. Riding time not going to be a factor here late. Weatherspoon down by 3, and now the 3-point takedown, a big one. If he can get an escape, Kane's going to have to ride as hard as he has so far this season.
Yeah, just 30 seconds remaining, and Weatherspoon looks just a tad fatigued.
Weatherspoon reaches back there. You don't want to see that. He needs to work to his base, which he's done a few times. Get to his elbows and knees. Kane doing a really good job breaking him down. Trying to get the turn.
I feel like Kane's in control here. I don't think there's enough time for Weatherspoon.
And Kane got him right where he wanted him at the end. Really good match and a great one by Kane. Able to battle back and forth, but he gets the takedown at the better time and is able to ride it out for the win. Moving on.
All right, so the only one of the 3 that the talented Nick Klaas picked that didn't go to overtime, it's still a great match. Here's the takedown and the difference for Kane.
And yeah, Kane had it here. The second that Weatherspoon has to release that grip right there, that's where the 3 points go. And that was the difference that was made.
as you said, the higher weights, ACC loaded, 4 NCAA qualifiers at 197, Nick.
Another big weight class for Kinsey and Stout. Kinsey was 4-6, wrestling unattached in 2023. 3 tournaments, did have 1 duel, but a 6th-year senior, so he's been a guy who's been in these wrestling rooms a lot. As Fishback on that one for NC State gets the win over Becker 16-1, and you hear the NC State fans loving it.
Wow, Fishback. That's total domination there, Nick.
Yeah, really great win by him. He has 4 ranked wins on the year, so the 3 seed, someone to watch in the 184 weight class.
We'll keep you updated on the score as we work out your lower left third score line. It's still 0-0 here.
First round action underway on mat number 2. As number 5 seed from Virginia, Christian Kinsey. Taking on 4 seed from
Stout.
Max Stout.
He doesn't have any accolades coming into this year. He was 8-3 a year ago, but Nino Bonasorsi, the national champ from Pitt, the one that broke that 15-year drought. That's who Max Stout was wrestling with every day in a wrestling room, and it's amazing how much that can prepare you for when you're ready for your moment. We mentioned that with Sonny Santiago as well, wrestling with Austin O'Connor at the 157 weight class.
So there it is, Stout with a 3-0 lead. You know, for me, Bonacorsi was the story last year of the national championships. He was just so authentic, so fantastic, and I feel like he left there with everybody having just wild admiration for him.
He did. I mean, he put a mark on the Pitt program, left it, did a great job for Keith Gavin, and to bring Pitt back to where they hadn't been in so long, but a program that had shown so much promise and has been a really good one in the ACC, starting to compete with NC State and Virginia Tech. It was a huge moment for him and for the program.
Max Stout with a 3-0 lead. His last match was against Kinsey, and that was a 12-3 major decision coming for Max Stout, redshirt freshman out of Mount Lebanon, PA. 18-5 this year, 26-8 overall.
His opponent from Virginia, Christian Kinsey.
Yeah, Stout's wins, at least in the ACC, nothing too crazy. Kinsey was 36th in the country. The other one, Kwasi Bonsu, who's another true freshman for Duke, who I think in the next couple of years could be really good. Great, strong guy, but you need that experience. I mean, that's why I talk about Kinsey. Kinsey's a 6th-year guy. He's been in a room a while. The step up from high school wrestling to college wrestling is such a jump that you need that year or maybe even 2 for some guys to just be in a college wrestling room, get that strength you need, get better at hand fighting. Those things that are the differences between high school and college.
You're in the voice of Nick Kloss. Our analysts here on Mat 2 all day long. Short of 7 p.m. for the championships for Sean Kenny and Tony Robles. The Rock Harrison, who broke in with me several years ago. This is my 10th year in a row calling the ACC Wrestling Championships. Got a little flip as he's at the Big 12, so.
Yeah, the man who started Rock Harrison's career, Dean Linke.
Let's go. He's only lapped me like 27 times, so.
First time in 10 years he's not here at ACC's. Great Anthony Robles here with us, champion in 2011.
Yeah, what an inspiration Mr. Robles is. An inspirational speaker. Good to talk to him earlier. National champion.
I remember watching his national championship back in 2011. Like you said, so amazing to see what he did at Arizona State. Still living out there, like you said, being a motivational speaker, really awesome guy to talk to.
Reminded me, Mr. Robles, with just one leg winning a national champion. Incredible.
Yeah, he was at 125 all 4 years at Arizona State. As you get a look at the head coach for UVA, Steve Garland, and he's a fun guy to talk to. Got to talk to him earlier this year. I called the Duke UVA match, and this UVA team was very badly injured. As we got a great scramble going on between Kinsey and Stout. Ends up with Stout getting an escape point up 4-0. So Kinsey finds himself in a little bit of a hole. Needs a takedown to get back in it. Also riding time, 1:30 in favor of Stout. If you're over a minute of riding time at the end of a match, that results in a point for you. So right now, if it ended right now, Stout would get a point to make it 5-0.
75 seconds remaining here in the second. Number 4 seed Stout out of Pitt with a 4-0 lead over Kinsey out of Virginia. There's Steve Garland, deeply religious man, now in his 18th season.
Yeah, Coach Garland, I was just saying, fun guy to talk to. When I talked to him, their team was riddled with injuries to the point where he said, I was saying, don't go live in practice. Let's just practice. Let's just go through the motions, because he didn't want anyone to get hurt. But this program under him in his 18th season has been fantastic, helping 102 guys get to the NCAAs. Top 25 team finishes at NCAAs in 7 of the last 13 years. UVA, another great program in Virginia, battling with Virginia Tech. It seems like the Hokies have had a little bit of a step on the Wahoos, but UVA in very good hands.
Worth mentioning, since we were talking about Rock, he's a former Cavalier. Normally, Nick, the 11 a.m. start, fans are still filing in, right? And eventually the seats get filled up. Not today. I mean, that lower level, before we even had that first match,
we got a good crowd.
Yeah.
We got a good crowd here. It's a lot of red. You see the darker, more maroon for Virginia Tech. Sorry, Virginia Tech fans, if I didn't get your color exactly right.
Good shot, though, by our outstanding crew producer, Paul Beam, showing you a look at the crowd, all in. Joe Ferrara, the main man cutting the show for Paul Beam, the director, deserves credit for those great shots. With Joe last night, and a little soccer down the road.
So that's an escape there for Kinsey, which makes it 3-point difference in the third period. So now Kinsey got to be working for that takedown. Haven't seen it yet. Get a stall there, bring it back to neutral in the middle. On mat 1, just to update you, Max Shaw up big against Quasi Bonsu. Shaw, another guy from North Carolina who could potentially make a splash in the semis and the finals. Good job by Kinsey there to get Stout moving, but he's just a great defensive wrestler. Good at keeping his legs away. Kinsey, such a big, strong guy, a little more reach than Stout.
Worth mentioning that Stout fell to Max Shaw 5-4 in the regular season. As you mentioned, Shaw with that dominant lead over on mat 1, leading by 14.
Yes, Shaw only lost to Smith and Hidley. Hidley with the tech fall. He's been extremely dominant. Excited to see him wrestle today. Kinsey not out of this. They're going to set back up in the middle. Only down by 3. He can even this up. The only thing is that Stout is 4 seconds away from securing riding time. If he does that, then Kinsey has a much tougher time, because he needs the takedown to even at a 4-4. But if the match ends, Stout gets a 5th point. So Kinsey's looking to get a takedown and then immediately get Stout to his back to see if he can get any back points to get a big 4-point swing potentially.
Kinsey's got a fire here.
As they wrap things up at 197 in this opening round, Ryan Katka, Virginia, and Cade Blount.
He's going hard there, just too far out of the circle. The feet leave. So we need to reset, 10 seconds left. It's starting to get away from Kinsey. He gets in on a leg. Got to complete the takedown really quick. He does, that's 3. And he just can't do enough. 1 point for Stout, which is gonna end it, and Stout's gonna get the win, 5-4 over Kinsey.
So Kinsey, the senior, fought 11-5 on the season. But remember, at 197, 4 NCAA qualifiers, so we have not seen the last of Virginia's Christian Kinsey. Congratulations to Max Stout, who will earn a matchup against Trent Hidlay. Heavy Connor Barquette taking on Dayton Pitzer for Pitt. And you already mentioned Connor Barquette is the one man. He got a big win over NC State on senior day over at Cameron Indoor to end the day. And what was, of course, another dominant performance by NC State. But always nice to win that last match, leave the Duke fans happy.
Yeah, he lost to both the Katkas, and that's a big reason I'm excited about this 285 weight class. I want to see Katka versus Katka. I want to see the brothers go after it. So right now on mat 1, Ryan Katka of UVA going against Cade Loud, North Carolina. But right here we got Pitzer and Barquette. Barquette is a guy that Coach Lanham thinks could qualify for NCAAs. He wants to see it happen sooner rather than later. He's had wrestlers who it takes 3 years to get there. They have one opportunity at NCAAs, but he wants Barquette to try and make it in his freshman year, and if not, then he's in a good track to make it sophomore year, and after that, hopefully be a 3-time NCAA qualifier or, you know, something of that nature.
Connor Barquette, redshirt freshman of West Lafayette, Indiana. Duke has been rock solid over the last several years at heavyweight, led by the uber talented Casper, who I believe is still getting it done at WWE. I think I'm right about that. So big time personality. Casper, so pre-COVID, after a full day, Brandon Neff and ACC Network, then streaming, would have me do the interviews right after they win, right on the field. And Casper, I'll never forget it, after he won the heavyweight title, gave me a bear hug, picked me up, had a, you know, fairly nice suit on that was, you know, still smells like,
drenched in sweat
still
now?
smells like Mr. Casper. There's worse people to have your suit smell like, I think.
After a match, I don't know.
Oh, he's a big personality, right? He ate up the
is.
TV time and kept on rolling here.
Yeah, Pitzer, 7-3 record in 2023. Got 2 dual victories, actually 3 dual victories, 2 of those in the ACC against Virginia Tech and UNC a year ago. The other against Lehigh, which is a great program. You mentioned Barquette. He's from West Lafayette, Indiana, growing up in the shadow of Purdue Boilermaker territory. They've produced tons of great wrestlers. He decides to come to North Carolina to wrestle for Lanham and Duke.
It's not an easy ride for Barquette to be perhaps that one savior for Glenn Lanham. Only 2 AQs at heavyweight.
An at-large bid is mostly what these 2 guys are hoping for. Obviously, they're going in with the idea that they want to try and upset some guys and get the win. But with Owen Treffen, Hunter Katka, and Ryan Katka, those are 3 extremely good wrestlers. And that's a really tough ACC heavyweight conference to have to get through.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, Nick Kloss, you feel like Barquette resume, the way he's come on late in the season, that if he finishes, does he got to be third to get that AQ?
I think he has to be third if he's going to get an automatic qualifier. I would be surprised to see the ACC get 2 at-larges out of it. But Barquette has a resume that if he's got to win this one, and then he's probably got to put in a good fight in the semifinals. Same thing with Pitzer. That third place spot is kind of teetering on the edge of will you be in or will you not?
Still no score, which all of you wrestling aficionados out there know that at the heavyweight division that is fairly common.
We always call it a chess match. You'll hear coaches talk about it, different guys. Sometimes they'll go with a heavyweight wrestler, or they'll have a guy go up to heavyweight because his style just matches the heavyweight style best. It's just a little more calculated. They're not as small, so not as quick and athletic at times. There's also a huge weight difference you can be, so guys can be 210, guys can be 275.
Yeah, Glenn Lanham over the years, and talking about the success at heavyweight, has talked about the fact that a lot of time the events do head into overtime, and then it's about, you know, high risk, high reward. Who is most aggressive if it does go to overtime early and can hang on.
We've already seen a couple overtime and both of double overtime matches. And you could definitely see that here in heavyweight. And with heavyweight, it's also, if you can have a heavyweight who, you know, his conditioning is really strong, that could be a huge advantage.
Nick Kloss mentioned that he was hoping to see the Katka versus Katka matchup. Ryan Katka from Virginia, Hunter Katka from Virginia Tech. The number 2 seed, Ryan Katka, leading 3-1 over on mat 1.
Going into the third period now. If he wins, he'll have a meeting with his brother, which I can only imagine the Katka family in attendance.
That would be tough as a parent of 2 boys who actually got to play basketball together. I can't imagine if they were on opposite teams. That makes it tough.
I'll be on the lookout to see the UVA Virginia Tech split shirt somewhere around here. Not a combo fan base you see often.
See Pitzer with the lead, 1-0.
Yeah, Pitzer gets that escape point to create a difference right now, but Barquette still very much right there in it. Under a minute left in the third period. Riding time only 7 seconds for Barquette. So no point off of that yet. Barquette's got to move though. They're at neutral.
Yeah, Pitzer, pretty much every attack motion made by Barquette, Pitzer is already stepping back. See if there's any warnings at all.
Yeah, Pitzer's trying to protect that lead right now.
Right.
There's Barquette, he's pushing, trying to get in. He's got to work towards a shot.
I gotta believe they have at least said something to Pitzer here as just 10 seconds remaining. There we go.
There's the warning. 6 seconds, he's got to go, got to drop. And just the buzzer, not in time. Barquette got to the leg, but just can't do it before the clock runs out, and Pitzer gets the win.
All right, so Pitzer for Pitt. Narrow victory over Barquette at heavyweight. We're off and rolling.